Good morning. I thought there was going to be coffee or something. So I don't know. I apologize on behalf. Whatever. Good morning. My name is Jeff Jacobs. Let me tell you who I am, and then we'll go around the horn and introduce our panel today. It's actually a very, very good panel. Very often on these panels at these summits, you get the kind of people, like all three or all four people have the same job. Today, we're very, very lucky. We've got the producer, the player, and the platform. So it's a very unique experience. We'll actually be able to have a pretty good conversation. But let me tell you who I am. I'm actually no longer at Viacom. I left about 4 months ago, but it's probably a slide left over from last year. My name is Jeff Jacobs. I spent 10 years at NBC Sports, then I spent about 10 years at MTV and Viacom. And for about 6 months, I started my own company, Skyline New Media. And I got a lot of clients, and we're very busy, and it doesn't even matter what we do. You don't have to worry about it. And I'm doing esports and a lot of Comic-Con, a lot of bullshit. So let's go around the horn. And guys, why don't you introduce yourself, your company, a little bit what you do. Mark?
I'll start. I'm Mark Kornfield. I'm one of the founders of Livestream. More recently, I'm the general manager of Live at Vimeo. We've been acquired towards the end of last year. I'm now responsible for live streaming across the Vimeo platform, which is a product they launched in October last year. I've been doing this for 11 years. We started Livestream in January 2007. So we've been around for a while. I see many faces here that I know that have been working with us throughout the years. As it relates to this specific topic, we have a couple years ago, when Periscope launched and after Facebook Live launched, we realized that in order to provide the best live streaming platform, we had to integrate with every destination that was out there. Our value is really providing a platform to stream the best quality live content across the web. That includes your own property, your own website, it includes your own apps, but obviously as these destinations have been growing in the world of live streaming, it also includes these destinations, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and so on. So we launched a simulcast capability, so the ability to stream to any of these destinations at the same time. You can stream to your own website and Facebook simultaneously and reach your audience wherever it is. We've seen a great adoption of that product, and we'll talk about it more, but it just tells you how important it is for people to reach the audience wherever that audience is. Sorry for the long intro, but trying to provide context with the topic.
It's all good. Eric?
Excellent. Hey, Eric Conti, President and Executive Producer for Content 23 Media, a New York City-based production company specializing in live events and branded content.
I'm Russell Kwai, founder and CEO of BeLive. I've been streaming video since we were doing 28.8 feeds and 56.6 feeds on Real Media Player. But we specialize in solving the problem of clients that need production strategy, platform, and distribution. So we have our own platform, and we service a lot of the big fashion clients, American Kennel Club, big product launches, and we leverage social media as much as we possibly can.
And are you just a digital platform? Are you just a website, or are you also an app?
We make apps for our clients.
Okay.
We just launched OTT apps, Roku and Apple TV for the American Kennel Club called AKC Live, and our platform feeds the apps. We have our own transcoding, our own CMS, and our own CDN, all cloud-based on Amazon, of course. But yeah, we are agnostic to the consumer-facing aspect, and we try to, strategically help our clients find the right mix and match of all those different destinations to meet their goals.
So you don't only produce and distribute to apps, you also develop apps for clients.
Exactly.
It's good to know. And actually, that's a good transition. We should also mention, and I didn't write this, social live video. I don't even know what that means. This is what they assigned us. But we should say for today, argument's sake, and for the purposes of today's little chat, that social live video should also include digital live video and/or streaming, OTT, and all that. It's almost as if this is all about digital viewing and opposed to linear viewing, for argument's sake. It should also be noted that, what's his name, Dave Capra, from Facebook couldn't make it today, so that's the empty seat. I guess I guess he didn't have enough likes, or for whatever reason he didn't show up. But we should continue, and we should start. So this is a great panel. Thanks very, very much in advance for joining. Let's set the table. Digital live streaming, digital viewing. Digital viewing, viewers watching with their eyeballs, your content through digital sources. I don't even want to say non-traditional because it's been too many years, and it ages me. But it's all good. Russell, if we could start with you, because I went to your website and you've got such an array of live streaming programming, such a diverse array of live stream programming. Let's set the table. What are we streaming, and where, and why is it better or more effective on a digital platform than if it was 6 years ago and on a linear platform? Russell?
Oh, well, we stream, we do probably 300 to 400 live streams a year. Some of them all are concentrated during Fashion Week. We do all the big major brands like Tommy and Mark and Oscar and Calvin and Vera and you name it, all the big fashion brands. And what they usually have a specific strategy about where they're trying to reach people. So social media streaming becomes critical because driving people to their website, whether you think big brands have huge traffic on their websites, they really don't. You know what I mean? I think that's part of the thing. Same with the OTT channels. It's not as easy to get noticed on an OTT platform, just like a website's not easy to get noticed. So we leverage social media to stream content that people want to get awareness from. Our specialty is programmatically solving problems to meet business demands. So like email capture on its simplest, and syndication, where the embed code goes out to 500 different websites, and we aggregate all the data back for the client. So basically anything that has an audience that needs awareness gets streamed. And these days, things that shouldn't be streamed are streamed. We actually sometimes tell clients that they probably shouldn't stream it because it's probably not a great use of their money. And unless they have a huge following on social media, a lot of times that's where a bulk of the audience comes from. So for us, it's the new form of marketing and promotion, is putting a show on Facebook Live, on Instagram Live. We've now figured out how to stream directly to Instagram Live, which is huge for us because our brands are very focused on Instagram. But we put it everywhere. We don't favor any of them. Wherever the specific client's audience tends to be, it's very different for an esports client like the Twitch than it is for a fashion brand that's more Instagram, Facebook, and their own website. We also do e-commerce integration, where we try to, the streaming is more of the commodity aspect for us. It's what you do with that audience that we try to help our clients do. What do sometimes it's just views and get awareness for a product launch, but what we try to do is go a step, and try to activate that user, try to either get them to click on something, share an image that's synced with the video, register intent to purchase, purchase, email addresses, give the cell phone number for SMS alerts. We really try to focus on leveraging the digital audience to try to drive business results. So it's not just isn't this cool, we're live streaming.
I want to get back to, it's very interesting. You said sometimes you tell a client, don't bother live streaming, this doesn't make sense. I want to get back to that. But, you just said a mouthful, no joke. You just said a mouthful, and you said all these great advantages about live streaming and or distributing to digital sites, if you will. And it would be very easy for me to just say, I got a fashion show, I got the Vera Wang fashion show, I got a runway, I got people in the audience. Should we go to linear tonight? If I'm A&E Networks, or if I'm MTV Networks, if I'm Fox, should we go to linear tonight, Sunday night, or should we just do live stream? You just had a mouthful of reasons why a live stream would just be smarter, and you'd be able to take advantage of everybody watching anyway, from the e-commerce to the acquisition of emails and texts and SMS. It's really not apples to apples. It's really not anymore. It used to be like when I was at MTV like years ago, hey, we have a pre-show, should we put it on linear and eat up expensive linear time, or should we put it on digital and just blow it away and get maybe more eyeballs? It's not like that anymore. It's so much more when you're digital. There's so many more opportunities when you're digital. That's really what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think that the mistake, my thing since I was at Beetlejuice years in my first job at Beetlejuice Productions, everybody used to think that the audiences are different. Like, oh, well, if it's just for the web, then, just use that shitty camera and you don't really care. And if it's for television, it's got to be good. And our thing has always been the audience. It's the same people. I don't know why you're creating content in a different way because of the device they're watching on.
I'd like to argue with you a little bit about that, but maybe later in about 15 minutes.
Except for expenses.
But keep going. and who do you tell don't bother streaming? What's not effective to stream?
People that don't really have an existing presence in the landscape that can attract an audience, and that have an expensive event that would be expensive to cover properly, and do it in a color critical, high-end way, which requires a real production infrastructure that will get 500 people to watch it.
So it's not worth it.
We don't think so. I mean, it's not often we turn down business, but I mean, a lot of times we'll just say something like, "Oh, well, maybe we'll just do something quickly and put it, post it later."
Right.
Or we never turn them away. We try to help them spend their money wisely.
Yeah, sometimes, and we're going to move on, but sometimes I would always tell people, let's just live stream it, because if nothing else, it eliminates the post, and it's all packaged, and we don't have to think about it again tomorrow morning. Let's just live stream it, because then I've got all 5 cameras cut into an integrated feed. Everything's very nice. This way I don't have to tomorrow start editing and multicam software and have to start from scratch. Just live stream it. It's just the easiest way.
Yep.
Eric Conti, greetings. What are you guys producing that you're pushing to digital platforms and specifically not linear, especially stuff that you're producing for digital platforms that 10 years ago or 5 years ago would have definitely been on linear?
Yeah, so for example, right now we're working on the Yo MTV Raps 30th anniversary live stream for MTV, which is exciting. And that's probably an example of a perfect property where it wouldn't make sense for MTV linear right now. It's an older audience. It's not what MTV is doing on linear. But digitally, there's still a massive audience for it, but trying to convert the MTV viewership to watch that on MTV, the channel, linear, is probably not going to happen. But it's a fantastic brand. There's an amazing talent lineup dialed in. So the thought was, how do you basically still maintain the equity of this brand and showcase it and still bring in a different viewership to MTV on digital that wouldn't find it on linear?
So that's like the quintessential perfect item to stream to a digital platform in opposed to air on linear. Because it's, what did you say, how many year anniversary?
30th anniversary.
So 30th anniversary, people watch it when they're 10. These are like 50-year-olds, 40 to 60-year-old people.
Exactly, yeah.
And,
40s,
and how long is the concert? 2 hours, 3 hours?
3.5 hours.
So there's no way anyone's going to put 3.5 hours on linear television there's no way MTV is going to put 3.5 hours on TV for 50-year-olds.
Exactly.
They're never going to do that. So thus the digital platform.
Yeah, there's a million reasons why it would not work on linear, standards, and all, there's a million reasons why it wouldn't work for linear, but it makes a lot of sense on digital. And also, it opens a whole new audience. Like, this is a chance for MTV to engage a much, much broader audience on digital than it could have on linear. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and it's exciting to have, a great live stream of this.
Right, what else? What other, what were you telling me about Katy Perry?
Oh, yeah, we did a Katy Perry special last summer. So Katy Perry had the idea to do basically a 4-day-long live stream. She's known for live streaming with her audience and engaging with them socially all the time. But the trick was, right before her album was launching, she basically would start a live stream that wouldn't end. So she basically, once she puts the camera down, her phone down, we cut to a second camera and then a third camera. And ultimately, we had a studio in Chinatown, Los Angeles, off of Figueroa with 40 cameras set up. It was fantastic, but basically it was funded by YouTube Red, and they partnered up and this amazing 4-day live stream. We had 49 million views in a matter of 4 days.
You had 49 million views in 4 days? It's like a 49 rating. You had a 49 million views?
On YouTube, 49 million views.
In 4 days?
Yeah, by the time we wrapped the live stream, I think that Monday afternoon, we had 49 million views.
Bullshit. You didn't.
I'll show you the numbers. Top 10 shows of the year by Time Magazine.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, I'm not kidding. It was an amazing event.
Did you say you had 40 cameras?
Yeah, so we partnered with the company Fly on the Wall, who does Big Brother, and they are the experts in lock-off cameras, robo cameras, and we rigged an entire apartment in downtown Los Angeles, and there was no camera operators in the room. It was all robos and lock-off cameras.
It's fun.
But basically, Katy Perry knows where her audience is. I think, so one of your questions earlier, which platforms do you go after? And I think you mentioned this, you have to know where your audience is, and she knows her audience is huge on YouTube. And that was the perfect partner for her, and it obviously showed instantly. The audience was like, wait, you're not stopping this live stream, this is going, and it was a great event, and it helped kick off the album.
It's so funny because, like we said earlier, it's like, is social live video, or let's even just say, is digital video the new cable? It's not even a fair question. It's like a trick question, because it's not the new cable. That insinuates that instead of my cable box from Time Warner, from Spectrum, I have some new device of getting it into my flat screen. It's not true. That's not apples to apples. It's not Lula. It's so much more than cable ever thought it it could be. It's so funny that we still fall into like these ruts. It's so funny.
Crazy business models where people get paid whether you watch it or not.
Good point.
What do you mean?
On cable, like, the old days, if you had a cable channel, you just get carriage fees and
Totally.
pay TV was the best, and that's just, not the way things work. But I don't think they're, you say linear or digital. Like for us, we do the AKC National Championship, which is like the biggest dog show in the country.
Right.
We stream it live for the people that specifically want to see every dog and really care about dog shows. And then we also package it into a 3-hour program for Animal
linear.
Planet, so that airs on New Year's Day. So I mean, I think there's,
best of both worlds.
It's really goes back to content being valuable. And if the content's valuable, there's a place for it on lots of different locations. It's not one or the other.
Yeah, it's not either or. They could, ideally, they complement each other.
We
Right?
bid on that Katy Perry thing.
That's just a little awkward now. That's really funny though. What you just described, it's so funny, Russell. What you just described is like in 10 years ago, what broadcast and cable did. Like the broadcast networks all had to buy cable networks so that, you and I were talking about NASCAR earlier, so that the 8-hour NASCAR race would be on, I'm making this up, the 8-hour would be on like Fox Sports 1, or Speed channel, and then just a 2-hour last would be on, actually a better example is New York City Marathon. The better example is New York City, 8 hours on ESPN2, but the 1-hour cut-down version is on ABC Sports in the afternoon.
Yep.
So it's funny how that business model that you just described, or that production business distribution model, is now in its revolved generation for digital.
And we see that at a lot of sporting events, like, bike, not as big as the New York Marathon, but like the Philly bike races, and, where like the contracts to get the city to get the event there, either you have to have a television deal or you have to live stream it, or you can't have our event there. So I think there's an impetus for people to stream and or televise, and
Right.
I think you got to pick the right
So
approach.
much. Mark, I'm sorry, these guys have been hogging the whole thing. I apologize. Mark, so first of all, can you just go back, do us a favor? I think a lot of people in this room don't realize that about the merger. Everyone knows Vimeo is like what editors send you clips on, or you send people clips. Can you just talk about the business of where you are? Because I think people would want to know. I'd want to know. And then after that, would you mind, let us know like what's going on with Vimeo Live. I don't know, and it's all good. I don't know if people really can think of Vimeo as their live stream the way they do YouTube. Mm. Maybe they should start. Maybe you can give us some examples of stuff you've been live streaming, again, that works so well on your digital platforms.
Sure. So I guess first, going to Vimeo's mission, Vimeo's mission is to empower creators to tell exceptional stories. Vimeo is not as much a destination as it is a set of tools that enable the creation, hosting, distribution, monetization, interactivity around your video content. And very much like Livestream, what I told you a couple of years ago, we realized we had to position ourselves as an enabler for distribution. Vimeo went through the same steps. In fact, when you are logged into your Vimeo account today, you can click a button and publish to YouTube, to Facebook, and to any other destination, whether that's, by the way, VOD or whether that's live streams. So, as you look at how the combination of Livestream and Vimeo work, we are very much aligned on the strategy of positioning ourselves as a set of very high-quality tools to create, host, distribute, monetize content. As it relates to your other question, which is what is the live streaming product? It's still very recent, so I'm not surprised you don't know about it. It's been launched at the end of October. What we are doing right now is we're bringing everything we've learned in 11 years at Livestream to Vimeo to make it the best live streaming platform out there. One of the things that we've been thinking about a lot is in this era where you have to consider the digital channel when you do live streaming, is how do you manage the fragmentation of your audience? Just bringing it back to the conversation we were having. I think, first of all, if you have a choice, there's no reason why you wouldn't distribute to both, right? I think if the business model enables it, I don't see a reason why. There's a big difference on digital and as it relates to social is the audience is fragmented. It's fragmented not only across platforms, it's also fragmented across devices. If you look at what's happening, and you mentioned this before, but if you look at what's happening with connected TVs, I bought an LG TV recently. I turned it on, and there was a completely new app store I had never seen with its own set of apps. And I was like, these guys have broken the internet. You know, all of these guys have broken the internet. There's no browser, there's no my websites that I go to. How do I consume content here? I don't know. So I have to go and get maybe the Facebook app and just try to find, you know, Katy Perry on Facebook and try to find the live content there. It makes no sense. As a user experience for a viewer, the journey makes no sense. And so I think that is a complexity of digital distribution channels that unfortunately everybody has to deal with today, which is for the content owner, how do I have the best presence in every platform and every platform and every device, and how do I enable my business model? You know, there's the other side of this, which is it's great as, you know, where it's used for marketing and it's free to view, that's great. If you want to monetize, you know, how do you go and monetize on YouTube? How do you go and monetize in your own apps? How do you combine these things? It's still a little bit of an immature landscape, I think it's gonna grow up in the coming years. Right now, unfortunately, there is no other way than thinking about all these platforms sort of independently. One of the things that Vimeo enables is creating your own branded apps, a little bit like you do. So if a content owner, an event organizer comes to us and says, look, I want to be on Facebook, but I also want to have my own apps so that people don't have to go on LG, find the Facebook app, look for my content inside that app. We'll enable that, and I think we are going to continue to expand that piece of our business because this fragmentation, you know, forces that. It forces having tools at the disposal of content owners to solve the distribution side.
Who should be, Mark, who should be streaming their event or program to live stream live? Who's your target market?
Yeah, so
who would benefit the most from live stream and or Vimeo Live?
We have millions of live events happening on the platform every year, and that ranges from a soccer game in a high school that parents want to share with the PTA, or it goes all the way to the European Space Agency. A couple of years ago, we had the landing of Rosetta on the Comet, and that was 16 million views in 24 hours.
Right.
So, and you know, and everything in between. What we have what we believe is the best quality live platform out there, and we try to cater for 80-90% of the use cases of live streaming of events. Where you wouldn't use us is if you have very specific custom needs where, let's say, you want to launch an app or you want to integrate a forum and some of the other very specific interactivity features that you have on your website, that you wouldn't use us, but anything that is sort of turnkey, you would.
We'll do that.
We do the other. We'll send you that.
Right. But is that in your future? Is that part of your goals to start? Do you want to do Katy Perry, or that's not your business model?
We do Katy Perry.
Okay.
We do Katy Perry.
I meant like Eric's thing, but it's a bad example because that was sponsored by YouTube.
We will continue to create. We will continue to create the best tools out there to do live streaming, and I think where we draw the line is if a customer wants something very custom, that's where they won't use a turnkey platform like us.
Another question: is it advantageous to a show producer who has to distribute their content, to not only stream to their own website or to their page on Facebook, but also to live stream. Is that advantageous? Does Livestream
Yeah.
send out alerts? Does Livestream promote on the
so-
homepage?
So think of Livestream not as much as a destination. We provide a home for your content. If you don't have a website and you want to send a link around, you'll be able to stream on the Livestream website or on Vimeo Live. But it's not an either or. We want to be able to give you the tools to reach your audience wherever that audience is. So you will. Here's an example. Here's an example of a business use case that will drive an audience to one place or the other. Tough Mudder, I don't know if you know those races.
Yep.
They stream their content on their website and on Facebook. They sell tickets on their website. Their business model revolves around bringing people to their website to sell tickets. What they do is they stream to Facebook. They stream sort of a teaser for 10, 20, 30 minutes. And at some point they say, okay, go to my website now to see the rest of the live stream, and they cut the stream on Facebook, and they'll then continue the stream on their own website, and they can activate their business model that way.
Right. Again, it's like the old broadcast versus cable cut-down version model. Okay, cool. You used the word monetize a couple of times. Russell, anybody monetizing these live streams? Now I'm thinking about the downfall of not being on linear. Linear, it's easy. They sell commercials, and they sell commercials on linear, and people make money. How are your clients, especially fashion, monetizing, or is that just not what it is? It's a marketing effort?
Well, I think it's a marketing and it's a customer acquisition effort. So a lot of times the earned media is a big part of the equation, just the aggregated number of views that you get, the reach that provide a client. But we have clients like Tommy Hilfiger and Tom Ford that are doing, deep, to Mark's point, deep commerce integration, where we create an experience where you can watch a video and you can, just say, oh, I like that look, and you just like have a very simple way of saying, I like that look, and then it doesn't take you away from the experience. But then when you're ready, like, oh, here's the looks I looked, and then you can see all the products that are in that look,
right.
And you can say, I want to buy that, and then if you want to buy that, you leave the experience and go to that product page. We also do SVOD, which is a big thing. I mean, and we're seeing a lot of people that are willing to pay, $2 a month for custom content that would never make it to a linear channel that could be completely supported by ads. And so I think SVOD and S Live, I think, is going to be interesting. Everybody's doing what fits the business models that they understand, like sell an ad, buy a ticket, and I think what we're more about is like trying to figure out how to leverage the audience in a new way to try to create new business models, not try to make things fit into the way they were 10 years ago. And I think, we're not a platform that people use. Like, we're a platform that we use to support our clients. So our clients log into the platform, but they don't actually say go live. They don't, access their analytics, create reports. They don't time out images to sync with video. We do that for them. So it's a very different business model than selling a platform to 5 million people for a monthly fee or a yearly fee. We're about solving problems programmatically with the tool set that we have and customizing them for the client's needs. The American Kennel Club wants us, we're selling ads, and we see, to your point though, the same content that we put on a Roku app because we do live linear playback, which is all cloud-based live linear, so you can create like a network and it have always on, and it seems kind of antithetical to the way that the internet works. But to be honest with you, a lot of times, and it depends on the audience, we have 47 minutes of average viewing time on Roku, as opposed to 2.5 minutes on, just native web apps. So I mean, I think that there's a place for linear, even though it's still digital. So I think, I think having any sort of strong opinion on the way it has to be done is sort of what we, don't get with. We're pretty flexible, and we want to learn something new. And we want to help our clients learn something new. And a lot of times that's not like we want to sell tickets, so take people and drive them from Facebook to our website. We find that to be very tough to do. I mean, we're talking under 1% of the audience clicks over. So to get that kind of attach rate, you need humongous scale. It's kind of like arbitraging ads. You need it's almost fake. And it's sort of like how, when you do a big live stream, you pay for views and they push it out through ad units, and then the agencies can report back to their bosses, yeah, we had 400,000 views on this, or 4 million views, and they divide it by the cost of the production. They go, here's what it costs for each view. But it's really not someone that actually wanted that content. It was someone that was targeted, and the content was put in front of them for a very brief moment of time. We don't think that's, we don't think that's a long-term business model to be, part of advertising to someone they can't wait to click skip. It just doesn't make sense that that's where you want to be. So, we're looking for alternative ways to leverage the digital video audience to drive a business. And we don't have all the answers, but we have all the tools, and we customize them to try new things and try to, report back on the efficacy based upon what the clients set out to do. And it's tough, but I agree that it's a fragmented marketplace, but I don't think that it's going to go back to a simple business model where a few people control everything and they can sort of, make it work for themselves.
You're convincing me that OTT is the future, by the way. I like after listening
Well, I
to
don't think
you.
it'll be web page. Like you said, there's no browser. It's all kind of apps. And,
You're totally convincing me that it's all OTT.
I think the term OTT, it's interesting, the term OTT, the future is a world where there's going to be a fragmentation in devices that's going to happen, and there's going to be a fragmentation in the distribution. And OTT that's just a transport. It's just how do you reach the viewer on the other end? It's just call it presence on these different platforms. It's not what OTT was, 10 years ago. I think the definition is a little bit broader. It's just an extent. Think about what we used to offer. The first thing we offered as a platform 10 years ago was a player on the that you can take and put on your website, like YouTube, right? A player. What is the equivalent of that in a world where people watch on their connected TV? Mm-hmm. The equivalent of that is, unfortunately, it's an app. I'd love for it to be your own website, but it's an app. You can call it OTT, but it's an extension of the viewing
It effectively
experience.
is a website, just packaged in an app. I mean, it's still...
Of course.
It's
It's a streaming mechanism.
transport.
It's so funny because we all read the same magazines, and we all read the same newspapers, and we all go to CES and listen to consumer electronic companies tell us OTT and SVOD. We fall into this trap of the branding and the marketing of it. At the end of the day, it's content being streamed or content being viewed. It's so funny.
I just want to follow up on one point that we were just saying about, like, in terms of whether it's SVOD or live streaming. I think one thing that we always try to do when we work with a new client is figure out what is the goal, right? What do you when this is all said and done and when everyone's wrapped, we're all shaking hands. What do you want the takeaway for the viewer to be? And that really, those answers should help determine which platform you're going to. Are you live? Are you SVOD? Are you packaging it for linear down the line? What is the goal? What do you want to have happen? A lot of times they haven't really thought it through. Like, we have an event, we have an idea, live stream. It's like, great, we can do that, but what do you want to have happen? What's the takeaway at the end of the day? And then you figure out how do you get to there and choose the right platform and the right distribution method, and hopefully it all works out, right?
I think there are two categories of, you were asking what should you live stream and what you should not. There are two categories. There are events, things that happen at a moment in time that have an existing reason to exist. They have a reason that they exist. They have an audience. They have a physical audience that can go to the event, like this one. They have an audience that can't go. And you just want to reach the people that would anyways be interested in consuming your content. That the live stream is bound to work every time, because you already have this thing exists already. It's happening.
Eagerness to view.
You're activating the content with a production. First of all, the activation very often doesn't cost as much because you already have an audio set up and you already have lighting. But also it has an audience. The other thing that is happening is people that organize live streams, that organize events for the purpose of live streaming them. And I think that can work, but then it's all about the content and the distribution means. Do you have channels where you can go and attract an audience? And that's very much like any content that you create. Can you attract an audience? Do you have that capability? That's the first question. If you don't have that capability, it's funny, we had one very big cosmetic brand that you would know that asked us to do a live stream for an opening of a store in London. And they had this very popular artist, singer, that came to that store and they wanted to film it and do a live stream out of it. They organized this live stream and then they had 7 viewers. And they had 7
happens.
viewers because
Yeah.
they didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
They didn't. That singer had millions of followers on Twitter. If they had just sent one tweet, it would have brought an audience.
Was that
But
the
it's just,
last
it's
few
not
years?
part of the thought process. No, it was years ago, maybe 7, 8 years
Right.
ago. It's just the thought. So if you are going to create something specifically for the purpose of live streaming it, you have to understand how to distribute it.
So that's very good. And I used to tell people come to me all the time, hey, we're doing this so-and-so, we want to live stream it, can you help us out? I'm like, are you eventizing it? Because don't waste your time with a live stream if you're not eventizing it. If you're not eventizing it, just tape it and put it online and let digital streaming or digital viewing habits do what they're supposed to do, which is on demand, which is why this whole thing was invented anyway, non-appointment viewing. So I get it.
But that's where social media comes in, I think, to your point. It's like these days, most of these events, if they just put it on, even the biggest brand in the world, if you put it on like, Acer.com, we do a big product launch for them. They probably wouldn't have that many people go to Acer.com to look for this event. But if they put it up there and they tag it properly, and they have someone that knows how to promote it on social media, then you do attract an audience because people can discover things on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram in a very powerful way.
So
And I think
then-
that's what the trick for social streaming is to get it discovered.
So that's a great point. In fact, it's a key point. And with the few minutes we have left, we should transition and talk about the elephant in the room, which of course is live streaming to Facebook. Wah, wah. It's unbelievable. But you fish where the fish are. And again, I used to be at MTV months ago, or years ago, and we used to do, oh my God, we used to do 5 streams a week to MTV.com, live music from Webster Hall, pre-shows, after shows, all kinds of nonsense. And then a funny thing happened. About 2 years ago, stopped pushing it to MTV.com. Everyone goes to Facebook/MTV. It's unbelievable. The Olympics last year, my friends at NBC Sports, NBC Olympics, they went to Olympics.com for long form, but when they had interviews and such, screw it, they just went to Facebook.com/NBC Olympics. It's unbelievable. But to your point, to both of your points, you want that alert, you want the instant, what I would call instant eventizing ability, and I have to tell you, the Facebook is nice that it sends the alert. It's a nice thing. I produce these Comic-Cons, just real fast, I produce these Comic-Cons every other month, and we have like next month in Seattle, we have like the Avengers, so it's like real celebrities. We have like 8 out of 10 Avengers or something, and bless you. And we're live streaming these. So we sat and said, well, should we live stream them to our YouTube page? Quite frankly, what for? Should we live stream to our own website, acuniverse.com? What for? And then what we end up doing is we end up live streaming to Facebook so that let's say 30,000 followers get a thing in their pocket, get a buzz, and watch it live. It's instant eventizing. So is Facebook live streaming going to put everybody out of business? Obviously not. There's obviously niches for other people, duh.
But going just to Facebook Live is we don't think that's the best. A lot of people want to do that.
Right.
But if you want to syndicate properly, and if you want to, especially for something like Comic-Con, where there's like 1,000 blogs out there that would love to have free content of that event, and they probably have 500 people that like go to their blog and will watch that video. You put it all together with the Facebook Live, then that seems to be a way to reach a more specific audience than just one or the other. So that's why we feel like going to, if you're going to syndicate, if it's free content, you might as well syndicate it, and you might as well give it to people that have audiences. And Facebook has their own audience, but you're just giving them content. So we think of it as a part of the puzzle, but it's not. It's never just the puzzle.
I agree, and also I will tell you, Facebook isn't the end all. Facebook. There's a lot of clutter on Facebook. You can get lost on Facebook fast, and
And are very smart.
yeah,
slow.
and everybody's got a friend who like uploads a live thing, 3 o'clock latte, nothing like it. Everybody's got one of those friends, so you can get your event that you spend a lot of money for could get lost on Facebook quickly. I get it. But it's still, the alert thing is a nice thing. The alert for live is nice, and then it lives forever. It's pretty good.
Yeah. When you say putting everybody else out of business, who is everybody else?
Yeah, and I didn't really mean that in like that.
No, I'm actually sincerely asking the question. Who is everybody else?
Okay.
NBC.
I guess I meant Dodge.com's website where they'll do a road test, or YouTube Live, or
Well, so there are the other, I think the other destinations, YouTube Live, Twitter, that they fall into the same category. The difficulty with Facebook is obviously they force you to stream only to Facebook.
right.
And so you can stream to Twitter and YouTube at the same time, but not to Facebook and YouTube.
What do you
They
mean, through one?
They
part of
ask,
the
yeah,
media?
they force the exclusivity. So there is a same category there. But generally, for any company taking streaming seriously, there's this issue of control. There's two dimensions to that. One is if you stream to Facebook, they take a worldwide royalty-free license to your content, which works for many cases, but in many cases, you don't want to give a worldwide royalty-free license forever to your content. And then the other question of control, which is, you have zero visibility as to the position in the newsfeed. And we know that changes. We know the alerting and the positioning in the feed changes. And so, again, it is extremely powerful, but if the question is, does it replace having your owned and operated property? Very often it doesn't. It does on a one-off basis. It depends on what you're doing with your content, but I certainly think you can't put all your eggs in one basket and just think this is the end game.
I agree. It's very risky to put all your eggs, even like MTV.com used to stream to MTV.com, now they're in Facebook. In theory, in 6 months or in a year, Facebook could all of a sudden one day say, we're charging for these live streams. In a second, they could do that. Or we're restricting them to no ad revenue or such, and then you're screwed because you've got to get all your audience back over to your website. That could happen easily, and that could be a mess.
Yeah.
That could really be a mess.
Also, I think it also comes down to you have to know your audience. I feel like obviously Facebook is a huge pool, but we just did the BET Social Awards, for example, and most of the nominees and the celebs and the social stars were bigger on Instagram and Twitter than they were on Facebook. So Facebook was part of the show, but we didn't feel obligated to only go and stream the show on Facebook because that wasn't where the audience for this particular content lived. So you have to know who your audience is, and it goes back to goals of what do you want to have happen at the end of the day? What's the result?
And I don't think most people go to Facebook alone. I said I did for these Comic-Cons because I was too cheap to rent another encoder. Let's be clear. No, I'm being straight.
Yeah.
But I don't think
ways to do that.
You should use a platform like ours, simulcast.
What'd you say?
You should use a platform like ours and do simulcast.
You know what? Actually, I already made a note that I want to talk to you about it, actually. But one thing at a time.
Or ours, and we'll do it for you. You don't have to log in.
Okay, I think you both got enough plugs today. If I hear American Kennel Club one more time.
But think about a world where, just for the intellectual exercise, where in 5 years down, people are consuming more and more content on their TV, that's their device, right? What does that experience look like? Today it looks like, honestly, it looks like shit. Like, if you finding that specific content that you were talking about, that you streamed only to Facebook Live, it's just it's a poor experience. And so how do we fix that going forward? I guess I'm trying to say we should think about it not only in the context of what happens on the web as your desktop experience or on mobile, but also everything else that's happening around that now.
Are you guys changing your platforms to be more socialable, such as chats? Maybe you have it already, such as chats, such as interactivity. Is that also part of the future of digital
but you can't
viewing?
do that on Facebook. So that's sort of you can't build a user experience on Facebook.
No, you got what they got.
Participating in theirs.
You got what they got.
Yeah. But yeah, for the brands that have an audience that can drive traffic, chat, we do a lot of music festivals where you can choose, there's 3 stages going on at the same time, and you choose, so that's the kind of stuff where we focus on because that's where we can provide true value on an experience that Coca-Cola is sponsoring. And there's 3 different stages simultaneously, and you want to be able to bounce around. You want to get an alert when your band goes on. It's made for that specific purpose. It's not made for what Facebook is trying to do, which is sell ads against your.
Totally.
And so I think there's room for all of it. But if it really matters, to your point, people that take it seriously, that care about the live stream, it's not like just checking a box. That's where we think the future is.
Yeah, YouTube Live has the new clipping tool. I just used it. It's very nice.
Yep.
It's pretty good. The YouTube Live has, you could go right to YouTube Live, and then you could clip it after the fact, and it stays on there. It's pretty nice. I used it for the first time. It's very nice.
Yeah, that's great for things like this, conferences. We do a lot of big conferences where the VOD, you want it to be we cloud clip it very quickly,
Yeah.
and mark ins and outs, and it's already its own shareable VOD element before the other one's even done. So that's a powerful thing, too.
That is very nice. Okay, cool. That's all the time we've got. This was very, very good. This was a lot of fun. Please join me in thanking our panel. Thank you, fellas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.